Okay, how about another completely unscripted, unthought out, unplanned, unpremeditated YouTube video? When I mean very unthought out, unplanned, as I hit the button, I have absolutely no idea what to talk about. I know the things I've been studying for the past few years, pretty much on a daily basis. I know the things that I write about. I know the things that I journal about. So maybe let's start there. Let's talk about reshaping one's character, reshaping a person's own beliefs, rewiring your own brain. See, there's too many of us going about our daily lives. We take this thing for granted in this illusion or a delusion that we can just do anything we want. We can just choose anything we want. We're free, whatever. No, fact is, that's not how a man's heart operates. A man's mind runs on habits, runs on basically two things that were programmed in his subconscious in between the ages of about 1 year old to 7, 8 years old, somewhere in between that window. That's where most of his beliefs came from, so hardwired into his subconscious. And then whatever habits he's taken on, that he's created, the choices he's chosen consistently, prompted from those beliefs in his subconscious, unconsciously become those new habits. That is a shocking realization. It was 2017, no, the beginning of 2018, when I'd stumbled across this information, and I thought, no, this can't be true. This can't be true. Because the information I'd come across was this psychology talking about we run about our daily lives thinking that we have all this free will and free choice, and we do, but it's only a small percent. It's like some people say, some of them say it's 95%, some of them say it's 97%, some of them say it's like 99% of our conscious choices are stemmed out of our subconscious pre-made beliefs. Therefore, there's just very little wiggle room to actually change our lives and to become anything different. I don't know if I communicated that well enough. All right, say we got two minds. We got one mind here. Say this has all of our beliefs of everything that we can have, can't have, what we can do, what we can become, what we can do, what we can't do, all of that stuff. What love is, what love isn't, according to what we've seen, what we've been programmed. And then say, on this other side, this conscious mind, it's a conscious mind. It can choose any direction it wants. It doesn't have a program. It's just open. It's like it's in neutral. This is definitely geared to each of these beliefs. Say there's 4 gears: the heart, the mind, the body, and the soul. And each one of those gears has a main belief. And that belief is so strong, it will not allow the conscious mind to deviate from any of that. See, this part of the mind and this part of the mind, this part operates through feelings, not words, not spoken words, not even actual thoughts, but it speaks through feelings. So the subconscious speaks through feelings. Subconscious law is compulsion. Compulsion is subconscious law. And this conscious mind thinks that it's in control of everything. And there's a little bit of truth into that, because this conscious mind can make little habits to rewire this stuff or override it. But it takes time and consistency. Okay, see, like in the subconscious mind, has all these beliefs. See, it has a good side and a bad side to it. Okay, say in the subconscious mind, we took somewhere around, literally 20, 30,000 falls as a baby, as a toddler, trying to learn how to walk, and then finally learned how to walk. That went into this subconscious hardware, how to walk. We don't even have to think about it. We can just do it. We just feel like we need to walk, we walk. We feel like we need to get somewhere, we walk. See, that's part of the subconscious criteria. Well, it holds on to beliefs that are useful to us, or that, well, it doesn't even know if it is useful or not. It just takes on these beliefs and these functions, and it holds them in place as absolute truth. Okay, maybe now we're getting somewhere. Okay, and say that's what you want, because you don't want to have to get up every damn day and relearn how to walk. Could you imagine getting out of bed every day and have to learn how to re-walk again? Anyways, that's the good part of the subconscious mind. But the bad part of the subconscious mind, say if you was brought up around a toxic family, toxic relationships, and you formed these not so useful attachment styles, and those kind of programs were in your subconscious beliefs, your subconscious criteria, governing like 97, 99% of your conscious thoughts. See, like these conscious thoughts, you think you're having these thoughts right here just freely. No, they're governed out of this first, especially if they have a little bit of emotion to them. Because this prompts you with feelings first, and then that goes the reaction to the conscious. The subconscious prompts it with a feeling. This conscious mind reacts. The prompter and the reactor. And see, that's a really good thing, on a lot of things. On a lot of things. It actually holds the stuff to where we breathe, our heart beats, our skin grows, it regrows, our hair grows. Well, some of us. See, we don't even have to think about those things. See, we don't have to think about, okay, I'm going to grow a little bit of hair on my arms, or I'm going to grow facial hair, or, I need to grow new skin. See, we don't even think about that stuff. It's already pre-programmed into our subconscious functions. And, of course, our DNA, genetics, and all that. That's getting kind of off track. But the point is, we're cultured into our beliefs. We're trained to act a certain way. We're trained to be whatever our environment has shaped us to be as a child, whatever we grew up in and whatever we came through. It's pretty much the product we're going to be of that, unless we can change that. And the only way to change that is, from what I see, is repetition, 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 repetition. Maybe not only that, is maybe a little bit of education on psychological functions, maybe the way the mind works. Behaviors, behavioral therapy. let's talk about my favorite downfall. And when I say my favorite downfall, that means I don't actually like it. It's humiliating, but it can bring on humility, which is a completely different word. But this is what it is: emotional immaturities. That's what, like something going on so strongly in the subconscious, a belief, that it nudges such a powerful emotion to the conscious mind to act a certain way, and then you act out a certain way that is excessive, too much. Kind of like you wouldn't take a sledgehammer to hammer in, a 16-penny nail. You would just need a regular hammer. You wouldn't need a big old sledgehammer. That's overkill. That causes more problems. See, that's what happens when there's emotional immaturities, post-traumatic stress disorders, abandonment issues, depression. They go a couple of different ways. Those kind of beliefs get embedded in our subconscious program. They either make us react too much or none at all. Now, the thing that does make certain things tricky to where we're shut down, or what I like to call numb, is they look very similar to someone who is very emotionally mature, to where they can really handle their emotions. They can really process powerful emotions that come up and process them out without acting a fool or acting crazy or acting stupid. They can really handle them. But the thing is when somebody's shut down, they can speak on certain subjects and topics where it should be emotionally charged, especially if they're talking about themselves or some loved ones that are really close to them, to where there should be a highly charged emotion there, or some kind of emotion, but they'll be like shut down and they come off very normal and very nonchalant in their speech. See, they look very similar. But the thing is, I think, I can't prove it, and this is not absolutes. These are simply my points of view. And no, this is all fictional videos for entertainment and research only. So anyways, take this with a grain of salt. From what I've seen of myself, is I've been shut down in certain areas and certain things, and I talk about certain things that just could be completely flatlined, and just talk about them in such a such a calm way, to where it was just, it was wrong. It was shut down. No feelings, no emotions connected to it whatsoever. That's a complete shutdown. That's non-functional. That goes into other theories too, like what I call the four corners of emotional disorders: post-traumatic stress disorders, emotional immaturities, depression, and what was the other one? I said it backwards. Depression, emotional immaturities, post-traumatic stress disorders, and my God, why am I drawing a blank on that? Maybe it's my subconscious criteria not letting me examine it. And that's what it does. It actually does that. Anyways, I'll think of it in 1 second. The four horsemen is what I call them. And they kind of like overlap, and they're hard to tell where one starts and one ends. Like a post-traumatic stress disorder is when something is so traumatic. Well, I like the way Gabor Mate, I think that's his name, he does research on trauma, and I love all his work. But anyways, he defines it as this: if something happens to someone where they feel a total loss of control, and it was that is what causes not that is part of what causes trauma, but how they interpret it afterwards is what causes the trauma. How they interpret it, the definition they put to it. So, anyways, yeah, that's driving me nuts. I can't think of those four self-sabotaging things. Shoot, who knows? Maybe it's in this folder right here. Could be. I've got it set in several things. No, that's procrastination, fear of success. It's not there. 15-minute timer is going off. The traits of self-sabotage. Here's another thing too. Let's kind of look at that for 1 second. Let's go over a couple of minutes like we always do anyway, or like I always do anyway. The traits of self-sabotage. This is self-sabotaging. This is how you know you got a belief that's embedded in your subconscious that's blocking you from deviating from what it believes. Procrastination, perfectionism, negative self-talk, overcommitting, chronic avoidance, self-handicapping, impulsive decision-making, sabotaging relationships, fear of success, analysis, overanalyzing, analysis paralysis, and indecision. Now, each of those things, they could be stemmed from something else that's just temporary. It could be underslept, too much stress, maybe you're going through something that's at work or family problems or whatever, overwhelmed. That can make these kind of things happen. But no, when these kind of things are happening consistently and on the things that you really want to do, need to do, and ought to do, and should do, then it's probably some type of subconscious hindering beliefs. Chronic avoidance, avoiding difficult conversations or decisions leading to unresolved issues, consistently dodging situations that challenge comfort zones or provoke growth. See that right there? That could tie into a bunch of different things. Well, let's look at the angle of my favorite, emotional immaturities. That's like, deep down, there's certain things you can't really handle without going off or shooting off of the mouth and making a fool of yourself and just being crazy. So you avoid those things, or avoid those conversations, or avoid addressing those issues. That will just strip away anything that's like all those labels of post-traumatic stress disorders and abandonment issues. That's the fourth one I was going to talk about. That one. That's a big one right there too. That's a big one in our society. Let's just strip all those away and just say it's just inability to process out our emotions to get to some change, or to get to some type of growth, or to get things moving in whatever direction we need to get them going in. Because we're in a fixed mindset, aka subconscious program. Anyways, that's firing from the hip. Call to action, CTA. Ask yourself. Better yet, let me paint this picture real quick. You know what I honestly believe? No shit. Real talk. Listen to me real closely. Listen. This ain't no shit. I'm not even fucking with you right now. Straight up. You know where a huge problem is in society today, where it stemmed from? Well, yeah, that's pretty close. That too, but not said like that. Not ignorance. Ignorance of psychological functions. Ignorance of psychological and emotional functions. Ignorance of the psychological and emotional development and phases of those developments, and the problems that happen when they don't have the proper nutrition and the proper things in place. Okay, like like what we was talking about earlier, the subconscious beliefs, the subconscious criterias we take on about the world and the world we live in and ourselves. That happens in between from basically being about a year old to about 7, 8 years old. Somewhere's in that window, in that first 10 years of life, or a little less, those beliefs shape the rest of our life pretty much. Okay, now having said that, if you think about a plant, or a seed-bearing plant that grows, from a seed, depending on how that seed starts out, if the conditions are good when it's germinated, there's a phase of that takes a few days. Okay, then it's good on that part. That's that phase. And then it goes into the starter stage. Then it's from a baby to, let's call it, the toddler stage, or the little kid phase of the plant. If all the conditions are good there, healthy, grows good. Now, right off the get-go, if those two phases are good and proper, when you get into the veg stage, that's where the plant grows and blooms and gets all its branches, its leaves, or whatever. And then it has a way better chance of having a great, going into bloom stage and having a great harvest. Now, if either of those two beginning stages, if there was problems in it, that's going to govern what's going to happen with the rest of it. See, we are the same way. We are the same damn way. And that's the problem with our society today. That's where a big problem is. It's right off the get-go. Right off the get-go. It's in those beginning early stages. That's where all the problems happen. That's where that's why we don't go into vegetation stage healthily and good, so to speak, nor into bloom stage healthily and good, so to speak, because those beginning stages were fucked up. So anyways, call to action. Now that we're back to that, call to action. No, better yet, no, I didn't finish what I was saying. What I was trying to say was, I think it should be law that anyone who is to have children must be well versed in basic traumas, what kinds of traumas and how those traumas happen in early childhood. And if they can't do that, then they've got no business having kids. None whatsoever. We are too evolved as a species to be putting up with shit like that. That ignorant shit. Because that's what it is. Am I ranting and raving now? Yes, I am. But anyways, yeah, the shit really pisses me off. Because you know why? Because a person can live their whole freaking life having so many problems, and then finally, once they do start figuring it out, they're already up in their 40s and 50s. And it's like, goddamn, it's like my whole fucking life's fucking pissed away because I had a stupid start, and then I took on some bad coping mechanisms to fuck it up even worse. Now I got to work my fucking balls off to make the goddamn thing work and hope I can squeeze a little bit of fucking decency out of the rest of my life. And you know what? Most people who are traumatized, they don't even get that. They follow the shit to death. Most of them wind up either in jails and institutions, or death, or being homeless, living on the goddamn streets. All that shit, just, the shit's goddamn ridiculous. It really is. Anyways, call to action. Ask yourself, do you have a basic, thorough knowledge of how the human psyche grows and develops throughout the years, from birth to about 7 to 10 years old? In that first 10 years of life, do you understand the phases of development and their importance, and what type of environments produce what? Do you know? So anyways, enough of the gloom and doom. Have a good one. See you in the funny papers.